Alright, I want to do a video on the Gen 8 versus the RedCat Gen 7. As you can see, this is a Gen 7. It does have the beta portal axles on it with the upgrade kit as well, which are going to be, I believe, the exact same axles you're going to get on the Gen 8. There's the Gen 8 in all of its orange glory. I have to admit, this is a beautiful, beautiful body on this truck. Some people don't like the stickers on the windows. I totally get why they did it. It gives the scale appearance. I'm not a scalar guy by any means. I like my Wraith a lot better when I go out on the trails, but I have about 6 of these scalar vehicles. So it does add detail and give some definite, appearance of a real vehicle. I believe those stickers can be removed. I haven't done it. I know a few people have. That is the International Scout 2 body, as you can see, whereas the Gen 7 kind of looked like a truck, but didn't really resemble anything out in the market, and therefore it wasn't a body I could say it was a Humvee body, GMC body, anything like that. I do think RedCat took some notes of what people were doing out in the field. I'm going to get a pointer here. RedCat, what I did to my RedCat is you're going to look at the bumper. When RedCat first came out with these vehicles, they had a lip that kind of came down, and it added a lot of clearance issues onto this bumper. Well, I clipped mine off and shaved it down quite a bit to where it would get wheel clearance, all of that. If you look at the Gen 8, they kind of did the same thing, and I don't know if RedCat took some pointers of what everybody was doing out in the field on YouTube, giving ideas of what we could do to these vehicles. But they definitely trimmed the fat, what I would call the bottom lip of that bumper, and gave a lot more clearance to this vehicle. And it doesn't hit or anything like that. It gives a good travel. Now, this one here, I've got it changed up quite a bit as far as the shock mounts and all of that. But, all the videos have shown what the headlight buckets, I think you get 16 headlights, flexible mirrors, things like that. The same on Gen 7. The Gen 7 has the ability to, have the mirrors that flex and things like that. But one of the biggest drawbacks, I think, on the Gen 7 that I see is there are no buckets for the LEDs. So you can't add those to either the taillights or the front lights. Whereas with this one, it is ready to add all the lights you want on this vehicle. Some of the things I do like about this vehicle, and I have an Axial SCX 10.2, is these are stickers. I put them on my SCX to give it a better appearance. However, they've busted off. They've gotten knocked up. Yeah, they look great because they are an actual door handle, but this gives you the same appearance, and it's just a sticker. Some are going to like that, some aren't. Again, the foldable mirrors, which is a great option because I guess you have to run it in some of the stock classes. And whereas the mirrors on my SCX are bolted on from the inside, they can tend to break off. Definitely a beautiful body. You can see the sheen on that thing. The orange makes it stand out. Some of the things they did is they, notice no roof racks. Now, this is a Gen 7 Pro, but it has the roof racks and really a heavy body on it. One of the things the Gen 7 did, if anyone has owned one and or thinking about it versus the 8, is it had a hinged body. You had hinges in the back. I've taken this off for the purposes of the demo, but it had a hinged body, which is kind of a cool idea. You had no body clips, as you don't on the Gen 8, but you lift this up, and then you had a little stick in the back that would prop it up and hold it up. Kind of problematic when you wanted to get to the back half. I've had this body off. It's just 2 bolts, but I've had this body off completely quite a few times. Whereas with the Gen 8, I'll have it fastened down, hopefully. It'll lift up easily, or not. But it just Velcros off, and that way you can get in and do what you need to do and get to the vehicle. Of course, now I'm holding one camera. It's not going to come off with a hell, but I guess that's good for the field. So there's the Gen 8 body. The inner fender wells are a part of the body, and they come off with it. You can see the headlights there that you can add all of your LEDs to. The taillights just the same. That's a cool idea because, that's going to keep a lot of the mud out of this thing. A lot of the mud that I get in my other vehicles when I go out trailing. I'm going to set the body over there while I smash other bodies. And then this body here is a little bit different. It comes off. The fender wells don't come off with it, and it's got a full cage underneath. That made the Gen 7 a really, really heavy vehicle. This body, it's stout. It's not going anywhere. You can see it's taken a ton of crashes. I'll be honest, this vehicle, when others have failed, was always my backup vehicle, and it has never left me high and dry on a trail at all. So I'm going to set that thing aside here as well. Side by side, the bodies, the wheelbase, exactly the same. The mounting points, the transmission, all of that has totally been changed. You can see they have the wheel wells here as well. Over here, this is where the Gen 8 Velcro's on, the Gen 7 Velcro's on there. Much of what I see here is greatly improved. One of the things I like about my 10.2, my SCX 10.2, is the ability to have these panels right here, these floorboards. I can add a lot of electronics in there. I want to put a BEC, I want to put a winch, anything. I have the ability to go ahead and mount boxes up on this to keep it clean, and I've done that on my SCX. On a Gen 7, you don't have that ability. There's not a lot to that body at all. I mean, the frame of the vehicle. It is almost a traditional rock crawler style frame, and you just don't have a lot of location to put anything. On the Gen 7, your battery tray is in the front right here. It is a metal battery tray. You've got your ESC, your transmission, your motor, all right there, and that motor looks like it'd be a bear to get to if you ever wanted to get to it. The shocks on this thing gives you a lot of movement. Now, these are not the stock shock towers. The mounting points, those came with my portal axles, but you're going to see how the 4-link suspension, all of that's done in back compared to the Gen 8. The Gen 8 does give you metal links, which is cool. That helps out because right out of the box, you've got something that's going to last for a while. They gave you some fan mounting points. I guess that's to cool the motor down if you want. Some of the things I saw is the shock tower mounts are kind of integrated into this frame, whereas they had to be added to this one when I put the beta portal axles on it. Battery in the center. Your ESC on mine, it doesn't stick too well. It's just double-sided sticky tape. It was flopping when I got it. Not a big deal. It doesn't bother me at all. I will say this. The Gen 7, before I put the portal axles on it, would almost do wheel stands on the takeoff. Had a lot of quick torque to get that vehicle moving. It was too fast in my opinion. Put the portals in this, now it is a torque monster. I mean, it's great. It's slow speed, really gives me the ability for control. In the Gen 8, it's almost like the Gen 7 when I got it. It's a very fast vehicle in my opinion, faster than I'm ever going to walk, whereas some people say, oh, it's kind of slow. This thing's not built to be a basher. It's just not. You want a basher, you get a basher. You want a rustler type vehicle, you get that vehicle. There's different vehicles for the right application. Doesn't mean there can't be, a good hybrid between all of them. So don't comment about that and hurt feelings. But I believe this one, in my opinion, could be slowed down quite a bit, could be geared down quite a bit to give it more control, a lot more traction on the wheels as far as slow speed, all of that. But, sometimes you need wheel speed when you get stuck and you need to bounce it out of a situation. Swampert tires, they're the same. There's what they look like used. I love these things because stock tires, they're soft. They got a lot of grip to them, things like that. I've actually bought takeoffs of other people and put on different vehicles. Same thing with this one. They're brand new. They're soft, really soft compound. Right out of the box, they're a better tire than I got on my 10.2 by any means at all. Beadlock rims, they are a plastic rim, but that's a good looking tire. I mean, rim and tire combination, that's not bad at all. Mine came with a Dean's connector. I don't know if that was, put on there, if that's a recommendation or not, but we tend to run Dean's in this area. So I'm going to flip it over. Let's take a look at what we got here. Put it up on its can here on both these vehicles, and you can see some of the differences here. Again, the Gen 7 is really like a traditional rock crawler frame. It does not have, the full-bodied frame that most of your scalar folks will probably want. to suit their needs. But it's open. There's not a lot to get caught up on here. The shocks move well. The linkages, all of that. It was a good design to begin with. Look close. You're going to see those are the beta portal axles. Those are the exact same axles that I know about that come on the Gen 8. So if you're lucky to have one of these things, and I really only bought it because of the portal axles, and which is kind of cool, and a lot of people's asked about those and wanted me to sell them, but I just wouldn't. I guess the only way you're ever going to get portal axles for your Gen 7 is probably buy the portal axles from the Gen 8 if they ever come out with it. But when they do, you're going to need different mounts for your steering, your pan hard, things like that. There were some different components that was required to put those portal axles in. So hopefully RedCat will offer that for the Gen 7 folks. Some of the things I see that they've changed, they've divorced the transmission, which everybody talks about. Few people here, some well-known people that begin with an H, end with a Y, did not like this hump right here and thought it would catch up on every rock known to mankind. But if you look, it's almost straight with those rockers right there. So I don't see that as being a problem. And if it is, you've got bigger problems you're worried about. You're using your scaler for the wrong application. But some of the folks, it's also given a report on these Gen 8s. All they did is compared it to a Traxxas, the TRX, which is a great machine. But they kept saying, well, this is here, and this is like this on the Traxxas, and I like the Traxxas. I don't care what you would have done. You would not ever convince them that RedCat was going to be a good product because they just didn't like RedCat in general, and that was very obvious. I think you could have taken a TRX Sport, put RedCat names all over it, and they would have totally bashed the whole chassis, everything, because that's just my belief that they just dislike RedCat that badly. But guys, I got to tell you, for $299 out of the box RTR, this machine, it's going to surprise a lot of people. The Gen 7s, I see a lot of kids with these because the parents bought a $279 rig and gave them that. And I love it because I start comparing notes with the kids and they tell me what they've did, what I've done, and it's just cool to see their minds working when their father or their mother or whoever has a $600-700 scalar rig by whomever, and these things have proven they've outlasted some of those as well out in the fields they've been on. Metal diff cover. You're going to look. This diff cover, exactly the same. Looks very familiar. You're going to look at all of my linkage, exactly the same. Again, very familiar. One thing to really note here, and I wish every other manufacturer would do, is this is a plastic horn right here. That, my friends, folks, isn't the best metal, but it is going to get you out on a rig, probably give you at least 5 or 6 runs, unless you're just bashing the shit out of this thing. It's going to give you the ability to run on this. I have had out-of-the-box RTR machines. Take them out onto the strip, out onto the field, and I run them. And 15 minutes into it, this damn thing strips out. For $300-400 what they're charging for these rigs, come on, man, throw one in there. If you're not going to do it best, at least go out and get you the little dollar shoehorns like I do off of eBay and put one of those things in there because it's going to last more than a plastic one. So hats off to RedCat for doing that. I don't know if anybody else does or not. I don't care, but they do it. Plastic drive shafts with your metal ends, which aren't bad. You'll notice I had to replace these, the dog bones here, the sliders, because the ones I had were, I couldn't get them off of the diffs when I was doing it. So that's why I upgraded to the metal. Not that they wouldn't last or anything like that. Now, I've had these styles here on a Wraith, out of the box, RTR Wraith, and those things start to twist. They're just weak metal. Some of the cool things you get here, yes, it's a plastic axle, but whose isn't, man? But you get a diff cover that's metal. That adds a little bit of weight. Your portals right there look the same. Not the same exact design there. So they took note to this thing. They gave you a lot of adjustments, a lot of ability you can play with. Your 4-link suspension is adjustable up in here a little bit. Not so much as you had there on that metal frame, but I mean, you can just see this Gen 8, in my opinion, is a very quality build. I think RedCat got it right in a lot of ways. Now, people can look at these two rigs and say, well, come on, man, how much can they steal from Traxxas? How much can they steal from SEX or the Axial crawlers? Dude, I don't care. There were some differences here that I think RedCat took all of those ideas, slapped it into this machine, and then took some things that said, hey, this makes sense, and let's do it too. And for $299, I guarantee, I know this one out of the box, no modifications whatsoever out of the box, performed 10 times better than my SCX-10 too. I can say that because I own them both. It's right over there if you don't believe me, big red one on the right. But out of the box, this gave me a better experience. It did get hung up a little bit on the bottom fat lip. I took that off. The corners of the guards and the wheels, those got hung up. I fixed that. But out of the box, the thing didn't tip. It didn't give me a problem. It worked. I guarantee I haven't had this out on the road yet because it's nothing but snow around here, and I'm not going to get out on snow. There's no doubt in my mind this thing's going to perform for me. When it does, I think you may be surprised seeing a lot of RedCats showing up to a lot of conventions this year. And for $300, you just can't go wrong. Folks, that's a good machine right there. Solid. No bullcrap, no flexing, anything like that. Soft enough it's not going to crack because it's not, brittle or anything like that. But this is a solid machine. They did it right. They built it right. And they did everything they could on this one. So, RedCat, I think you did a good job. And if anybody's on the fence for it, guys, I run this rig, and I ran it hard. Now, I'm not the only one that's run it. A few people's run this rig and said, wow, it did well. When other rigs die, this is the one I pull out right here. And it takes every abuse I ever give to it. So I have the same expectations with this Gen 8 right here. Plus the fact you can't get any more than that orange body right there. That thing is sweet. So, got any questions, comments, hit me up. Be happy to answer them. You need me to do any comparison between the Gen 7, Gen 8 in general, be happy to do that. I'll give you one last scan here so you can just see how things go. But yeah, if you want any comparison or have any questions at all, hit me up on it. Same shocks. There's the Gen 7. We'll go from the front to the back like we did before. Your servo, typical servo. I think that's just a cheap eBay servo I bought because I got 15 rigs and I can't keep putting $200 servos in these things. But that's the Gen 7 right there. Yeah, any questions, comment, hit me up. Hopefully this helps some people with videos, whether or not they want to get a Gen 7 that's on the left or the Gen 8. If you're getting the Gen 7, the only way I think it's a good buy, a good value, a good rig is if you get the portal axles. But good luck on finding that. And the Gen 8 seems to be everything it's promised to be. Thanks.